So I'm here with DJ Dixon Jones, one of the first persons I met in this industry that.
Yeah, only because
we're in.
you had beer. You came from Iceland with beer.
That is true. That was in Stockholm.
Yeah. You had beer. Well, I mean, I noticed it mostly in London. You came to the Business Design Centre for an SES or whatever, and you had beer. It may have been, local beer. I don't know, but
Yeah, it's always local beer. I always brought I think I was Viking beer or something like that.
Yeah. So that got my attention, in those days.
Yeah. But we've had a fantastic journey. One of my fondest moments was when you and I and Andy brought our teams together and we had the duck herding.
Oh yes, I remember that. Yeah. So my agency at the time, and Andy Atkins Kruger and your agency. Yeah, we all kind of got together to sort of do a two-day share.
Yeah.
And thoughts and stuff about SEO.
And every time I tell the story, people go like, "What? Did he?" And I go like, "Yeah, no, sorry, I didn't. We didn't hurt the ducks. Hurt them. We just heard them."
Yeah.
So like, why are you hurting the ducks? No, we didn't hurt the ducks. We were trying to herd them, not hurt them.
Yeah, do we have axe throwing as well, which didn't work very well? I don't know. Anyway,
that was good fun. Yeah, it was good fun. And I remember you told me we drove past something called Disney Norton, and they can't. And I think it was you that told me the story that they cannot use Disney nor Norton to market themselves. Or something like that.
I'm sure that was probably true at the time. Oh yeah, we did go-karting and someone from bloody Web Certain beat me. That was very annoying. Anyway,
but it was good times. So going back, one thing which I remember also, which you told me when we were kind of getting to know each other, you used to write novels or something like that,
Murder Mystery Evenings. Yeah, so Mystery Evenings. I had a company that used to run. I used to write and run Murder Mystery Evenings, where groups of people get together and do a murder mystery over dinner. Interestingly, that company not only still exists. I mean, I sold it on, but they've just launched one specifically for Zoom. So taking advantage out of a bad situation. So
but send me the link. I would love to see that.
Okay, so murdermysterygames.co.uk.
Oh.
So murdermysterygames.co.uk. If they haven't got it there, then they've obviously buggered up their marketing. Yeah, but. Yeah, that was the first website domain I ever bought, was murdermysterygames.co.uk. So, so I remember that.
Another thing which I've been, and I'm gonna I know that you're doing a lot of stuff now, but I'm just kind of trying to refresh my memory on stuff here. So a lot of conference speaking, a little bit of beer drinking and stuff. You came to Iceland, I think, 2 or 3 times, didn't you?
Yeah, at least 3 times.
Your wife came once at least, if I remember.
She did. And that was the time I walked into a glass wall and broke my nose. So we were at the end of the beer. It's your fault again, So we were drinking in a club, and there was time for me to leave. And I walked straight into a glass wall. Blood came smashing out of my nose. Made a bit of a mess of the place. Anyway.
Why didn't I know that? What did you like? Maybe I was gone home.
You were probably exhausted after you'd done the conference and stuff,
One thing which I can say is that we should have done it 15th or 16th time this year, and we, of course, we can't do it because of the virus. But what I've noticed is that my stamina for drinking 3 days in a row has gone down to half a day.
I've found that as well. Although now I'm in lockdown, I do seem to find it quite easy to drink a bottle of wine a night.
Yeah, exactly. So So yes, absolutely. I'm with you there. I don't even remember. I think you were with us then when me and Ron Siskin decided to call Chris Sherman in the middle of the night. Got a brilliant idea, and we called him. And his answering machine came on, and we basically were just shouting at him to come and talk to us. And I spoke to him afterwards, and he told me that in his house, which is relatively big, the answering machine is on one side, and then his bedroom is on the other side. And we woke up basically everybody with the shouting, but he didn't take the phone. There's a lot of things that happened. It was fun. But there you go, frozen on me. Let's see what happens.
I can't. Yeah. Okay. Am I frozen?
Yeah, no, you're back here. It's probably something wrong. Might be something wrong with me here. Let's see where it goes. But that's your internet connection is unstable. What does that mean? I have.
Well, I'm blaming you. I'm hardwired.
Yeah, you can blame me for everything. Like I was late to this meeting, and
so your raw and uncut is going to have to get cut, isn't it now?
No, it's actually just throw it out there as it is. But how did you've been with you were with Majestic until what, last year? Majestic,
actually, about 18 months ago, I stopped properly being with Majestic, and I set up a new business last year with a guy called Fred Laurent. He's a French SEO. Yeah. But my secret in life is always try and go into business with a programmer, because otherwise you're going to lose your programmers. So, and give the programmer more of these shares than you have. That's my basic thing. So Fred's the CTO. I'm the CEO. I don't really want to be the CEO, but we're a small company. I want to be the marketing guy. But what he's done is bloody brilliant. He's built a knowledge graph. So he's built our own knowledge graph. It's huge. Looks at huge numbers, millions of topics, and then combine that with our own proprietary natural language processing routines, and we can have a look at any content, any web page or set of web pages, and we can break all the content down into constituent topics and entities. Okay. And then so then we can use that to firstly build web page schema on the fly. So basically one line of JavaScript code on the site, and it'll build web page schema on the fly. It also spots FAQs as well and writes FAQ schema on the fly. But what it's also doing is then you associate a page with a topic and say, right, this page is about, Oslo, and then whereas this page is about, I don't know, cross-country skiing or whatever, and then it finds all the other times you talk about those concepts within the website, and it will link those pages with without overly playing on the concept of keyword anchor text. It's doing it on the concept, not on the keyword. So you're not necessarily just getting the keyword spamming stuff, and it's properly understanding when you're talking about a concept and when you're just mentioning the keyword. So it won't link it just to keyword. It'll link concepts and stuff. So it builds all your internal links on the fly. Then when you're trying to optimize your content, it goes and has a look at your content. And then it also looks at the top 10 results in Google and analyzes those contents and says, you're not talking about this, this, and this, and you're talking too much about this and this and this. And basically, these are the things you need to change, and then helps you redo it. So it's bloody cool. It's really
it is actually. So two questions here around this. So firstly, this all happens in a back end where I log in and I can see this stuff happening, and then I can work that and approve of it, and then it goes into the site because you place a JavaScript, then takes in this stuff and kind of client side materializes, or what do you the English word for it? Rolls it out.
It does, yeah. So by the way, anyone watching, this is inlinks.net. I'll do my plug now, but anyway, better forget that. So it'll do all of this on sort of on our client end. So once you've got the JavaScript included, it'll inject the links, and it'll inject the schema and stuff. But it also it doesn't update the content. So we've got a website editor where you can pull in the content and then edit it on the editor. It won't push that back. You've then got to, because you've got to add the pictures and stuff like that. But you can optimize it in a sort of a sandboxy kind of area. You can also assign it to other writers and stuff. So if you're an SEO if you're one of those people that wants to assign all the content to different writers, you can assign those out to writers and stuff as well. Brilliant. But most of it's done on the server side.
And this is out now.
Oh yeah, so we launched in October in beta last year, and we kind of went live, I suppose, in January really, and then probably had a lockdown, but that's it's still been growing through the lockdown. So it's kept me busy, which is during the lockdown, which is great. Having something to wake up for every day. I mean, you know, I haven't got the luxury of being furloughed. I can't, you know, I don't get that luxury. So I've got to figure out how to make money every day. So the sales have been coming in, the customers have been coming in. We've got a good little test going on right now in one of the Facebook groups, a very big Facebook group, where they're doing a schema test to see whether adding web page schema is having a positive effect on rankings or not using. And that's good. So that's
I think I'm a part of that group, or I think so.
Yeah, it's SEO Signals. It is. If anyone wants to find it, and it's quite a big group. So there's quite a few people playing in that there.
So and then the second question is, like, why should people care about this?
So the reason people should care is because Google has, for several years, been moving from an index of web pages. I mean, obviously they got an index of all the web pages on the internet, but that got so big that they started building their own concept of a knowledge graph. They bought Freebase for 150,000 million whatevers. So what they did is, right, okay, the internet's getting so big and it's covering the same, there's so much duplicate content that maybe we want to, instead of filing every idea based on a URL, I want to file every idea based on a topic or a concept. So essentially they created this massive database of machine readable ideas. So instead of you type in Oslo, it goes to all the pages about Oslo and presents, it goes to a database that says, right, this is what I've pulled in about Oslo, and I can give you a whole good idea of the population of Oslo, the distance from where you are, the who's in charge, or whatever, the political system, whatever it may be. So so it's building a database about Oslo, or about potentially Kristjan, or about things. So this database of things, not strings, is coming in between what the user is typing in and what the search page, web pages are. So if you can't start influencing the database, then long term you're screwed as an SEO. So we need to learn, well, firstly, the problem is feeding the database is one thing. That's 2020's challenge. The challenge for SEOs is then extracting traffic from the bloody database, because of course at the moment it's giving information to the machine. But that means that the ideas and concepts are much more machine readable for Google. So it's easier for them to understand things about Oslo, or things about Kristjan, or things and that can inform Google's results.
Well, what is the URL again for it?
What if you what?
What's the URL for it?
For our site, it's inlinks.net.
Inlinks.
INLINKS.net.
I'm just gonna have it open here while we talk. So, so that's great. If I was a marketing manager in a company, why should I care about this? So I'm gonna change the question a little bit.
So, okay, well, we're bringing out something at the end of the week, which will probably show that. I say at the end of the week, so it's not live yet, but we're bringing out Inlinks Trends. And what that's doing is it's showing you what topics are of interest now that were this week versus this month. So we've got ideas about volumes of topics and concepts and stuff. So, and it's pretty cool. So you can go and say, right, I'm interested in the health sector. Bash, you go into the health sector, and it brings in everything that's on the rise and everything that's on the fall, or the most important things are on the rise and the most important things are on the fall, and what's stable. And so you can start working out what kind of trends and topics are important to people within days of it starting to take effect. So it's kind of like Google Trends, but on a certain amount of steroids, in that it's more of a discovery tool to show you what you're going to, what you should be talking about, or what is important to the public, the zeitgeist, if you like. And I think that a marketing person should definitely be on top of that kind of thing, because it keeps them on top of the trends, and it gives them absolute numbers, estimated numbers of volumes as well.
But is it multilingual?
It's only in English and French at the moment. So we've built it so it can be multilingual, but there is some work. We don't need new programmers to put it into German or French or Spanish, but we will need some linguists, really, because the knowledge base is based up of topics and stuff. So that's going to be different in different languages. I think German might be a challenge because of the way that their structures their sentence structures are made up.
So
but I think we should be fine. I think we might be fine with Spanish and Italian.
Yeah, I mean, all the Latin-based languages. If you have French, then you could do.
Yeah. So they should all be fine. But it's a case of getting big enough in English and French to have the resources to build out those other languages. And I think that's what I did with Majestic. Is what we did with Majestic. We started in English and then tried one other language, and then we basically worked with Andy and put it into 12 languages. So, but you've got to get to a certain threshold of size to be able to do that. And right now,
that's always one of the things which I liked about Majestic was the support for. Now, there are tools like Majestic, Semrush, and a couple of other tools that have this like multilingual support. Yeah. And what I like about that is specifically because I come from a country of 340,000 people.
Yeah.
And there is no tool that actually cares about that market. And the ones that actually do, then they become kind of an instant success. And you have the same with the Nordics. Like you have markets like Norway, 5 million, Denmark, 5 million, Finland, 4 million. Sweden is actually 10, so that's a decent market. But it's interesting to see how that works.
The good thing about Majestic was that links are language agnostic. So a link is a link, and we don't actually need to know which. So and we have to crawl the whole world. Had to crawl the whole world to be able to see the links in any language anyway. So the core was there. The problem with inlinks, my new business, is that there's also this understanding routine. Trying to understand content on a web page is hard enough in English, but we've been able to do it in English and French, so it should translate. But we've now got a huge amount of extra work, whereas before, putting it into 12 languages was nowhere near 12 times as hard as getting it into two, into one. So, but we'll get there. But I'm sorry, Iceland is going to still be screwed.
Well, I understand that. But that brings me to another thing, which is interesting. We spoke a little bit together here before we started. Was that you have the same luxury as I have, and Bill Hunt actually, which is that our kids are starting to work with us in our companies or around us in the same industry.
Yeah, well, it's only because Jeannie's in lockdown. Really, she kind of said to me, "Dad, I'm bored. I need something to. I need to use my brain again." And she's at a really good university. She's at Warwick University. She's doing language, culture, and communication. And I thought, okay, because the problem is, there's potential for us to clash, But I got to go to it. We sat down, and she's been incredible. So the very first thing that she did was have a look at a report a report system that we've got. So if you go to the Inlinks up on Inlinks homepage, in the resources, there's industry reports. And you don't need a login for this, but that kind of goes to a system. We've built a system that will analyze how good Google is at understanding concepts within any vertical. So we can sit there and have a look at Google's NLP APIs and then compare it to ours to see what percentage of topics they've got compared to how many are actually there. And so we can get an idea, literally a percentage. So if you go down there, then there's an actual report. So we created, she wanted to do one based on university courses. So if you go down there, you'll find a link to the university courses report. So we built that out, and then she used that. And it turns out that Google is much better at understanding the content that comes back for university courses and with many other industries and verticals. So she used that and did a really interesting blog post on how machine learning and search results at Google can be used for widening student participation. So student, because when you can't convert that into machine readable language, then there's every possibility that all the biases that we have as individuals, as academics or whatever, will seep into, if you're a white male, you're likely to end up with white male students. That kind of thing happens. And it turns out that the better that Google is at understanding topics, the more likely it is that they're going to get a diverse number of people coming into university applications and stuff. So it's kind of a really interesting article. It just shows how deep you can go on this kind of stuff. And I thought, she's done this within 2 or 3 days. And you can see it on the InLinks blog right now. Something about understanding Google is a thing. Yeah. And it's an interesting read. And it's so left to center of how I would have approached the data, but so very interesting that it makes me wake up and realize that, you know what, we've gone way beyond just manipulating Google now. It's much more about how machine learning and how human interactions with machines in this environment is going to be affected. It's going to be an interesting journey. I'm more excited about SEO now than I've been for about 5 or 6 years, I think.
Yeah, I think just going back to your daughter is that one of the interesting things that we found. I was speaking to Bill about this in an earlier recording, is that the way this has been moving for me is the same for me actually. Is that they come to us for help. They grow into the industry, and now they're teaching us. My kid now is teaching me more than I can teach him, and it's the same with Bill and his kids. So they have a very interesting table talks when they meet for dinners, and they are all like high up, like in TripAdvisor or whatever, playing with big data and doing stuff, and so. But it's interesting how this evolves, and I say the same. SEO for me, I did a bit of a 180. So I've always had SEO in the back of like that was my focus. Affiliate. I owned a lot of websites. Did a lot of SEO. Did a lot of stuff. I can proudly talk about most of it, but there's nothing I've done which is like really bad that I can't talk about. But then I realized that every time I was trying to pitch SEO, I kept being pushed out of the pitches because I was too technical, or the way that I was speaking was too jargon filled, and then I kind of had a eureka moment I was in London in 2008 when I was working with a creative agency there. And then I realized that the jargon I was using was completely different to what they were using when they were talking to marketing people. So that set me on a course, and that actually made me move to Norway, where I became a partner in an agency here, and working with kind of creativity and creative work, but realizing that SEO is also something that I always have had in the back of my head. So I always keep that as a part of my kind of offering, but I talk differently about it.
Yeah, I think it's interesting you say the kids are now teaching us. I think, but that sign behind you, I'm presumably a virtual sign behind you, stubborn on vision, flexible on details. I think it sums us up. As we get older, we're trying to be the helicopter kind of vision. View. But the youngsters are keen on getting the accuracy right, and they're more detail focused, and that's important, really. We do slip up on the details from time to time.
How do you exactly? And then that's also that also came up. I think I was talking to Nick Wilson. Nick Wilson. We're talking about the curse of knowledge, and the curse of knowledge is that when you know something so well that you just do it. And the way that often you don't leave behind. How did it come? Like we were talking about the curse of knowledge and the way that you address things and work with them, and because you've been doing things so long that actually it can be a curse.
I've just came across that. Was reminded of that today actually, because we were talking. I was. Because InLink, I mean, I'm used to building teams in-house. Majestic was all in-house. Reception was all in-house. Murder Mystery Games was in-house and a bunch of actors. But But now with InLinks, I'm kind of working. Obviously, we're in a remote situation anyway, so we're all locked down.
Yeah.
So I've dusted out Upwork.com, the the outsourcing website, and started getting a few people doing things on through that. And it reminds me that in order to do that properly, you need these process documents, whether they're a video or whether they're a Word document, to explain to somebody exactly how to do something. And the problem with us as SEOs is we kind of learned all this stuff and didn't write those processes down necessarily. Or some of us didn't.
Yeah.
I didn't. So this time around, I'm going to try and do that right, because if I've got that right, then at least you can leave some memory for the next group.
Yeah, exactly. And I've been working with a company building a marketing automation system for them on top of Salesforce and Pardot. So I've been trying to build a system on top of that. And to me, it was like everything I was saying was so logical. And then the person was actually is a brilliant person I was working with. He said to me, "Okay, Kristjan, can you write this down for me? I want to be able to read this and understand this." I ended up writing 17 pages of content of the process.
So funny enough, I used Salesforce and Pardot at Majestic as well. And the annoying thing was Salesforce bills based on number of users or one thing, and Pardot bills based on another thing. So you're sitting there and trying to build it up. And if you get too many email addresses, you're screwed. And the other one, if you get users, you're screwed. So
they got you locked in either way. And what I also found interesting, because I'm working into HubSpot and I'm working into Marketo and all these different tools, is that the terminology marketing automation, specifically for those using these type of platforms, basically applies to if you know who it is, you can market to that person. So if a person has signed up for a newsletter and you know who it is in their email, then you can start the marketing automation. But what if you don't know who it is? What if you want to market to somebody that is behaving in a certain way or comes from a certain company, but you don't know who it is within the company?
I'm amazed that there's no CRM systems that are properly saying, okay, I've got somebody's Twitter profile, email address, and Facebook profile, and instant message. Which one of those? So I've got 20 people I've got to send something out to, or 2,000 people, or 2 people, doesn't matter. But they shouldn't all be going out by the same medium. It should say, right, Kristjan, you like to talk on Instant Messenger. You like to talk on Facebook or on Twitter, and you like to talk by email and stuff. And it should try and allow one list, multiple one-on-one conversations. There's no system that's doing that.
No, but we should take this offline because there's something in the making. So
okay.
But I think that what is interesting about this is this kind of this omni-channel thinking, this connection between all of the channels that people are communicating through and talking through. And if you look at the way that for example, the way that so you have SEO, which is one channel, or you have SEM, and you have social media with different channels. You have banners. You have all these different, and if you want to build, like you were rightfully saying there, if you want to build kind of an omni presence with organizations, I like the word water cooler. You're constantly around them when they go to the water cooler to have a glass of water. You're basically standing there and talking to them, and so the approach there is that is the challenge to connect. And I think the big problem we have, like in 2022, I think Google is going to shut off all third-party cookies in Chrome. I know they're trying to work with vendors, and this is going to hurt a lot of people who are relying on third-party to actually kind of be able to jump between platforms. So the walled garden is actually the wall in the walled garden is actually going higher based upon this. So there's a challenge, but I think one of the things that connects this all together is actually SEO. Because SEO is such an organic way of communicating.
I think so. My approach is to deal with this GDPR thing is I think the freemium model works really well for me, because giving somebody a free account gets me through If you've signed up for a free account, then obviously I have to have a relationship with you to have a free account. And then when you come and use it, then you've got to log in so I can identify who you are, and that gets me through a lot of the, I don't have to have on inlinks.net, I don't need a pop-up saying we're tracking the hell out of you before you do anything, because I'm not tracking the hell out of you until you sign in, at which point then we have these are the terms of of use and stuff. So you've actively chosen to it. So before you sign in, I don't even record the last 3 digits of the IP address, because technically I'm not supposed to, but I'm sure everyone does. Or I'm trying not to anyway. It would appear that it's quite impossible for a browser to talk to a web server without the IP address.
You can find the data somewhere. Probably, at least in probably most companies don't realize that their server is collecting the IP address.
It's in the logs.
It's in the log, exactly. So
and funny enough, under a different legislation, the servers are legally obliged to take that information and record it. Otherwise, it gets sued for for something else. So
I actually, when GDPR came around, I love that you have these client-side analytics tools, and then you have the server-side analytics tools.
Yeah.
So all the side, and those used to be the ones that you and I probably worked with before Google became Google, and all these tools started to come out, and then you were constantly looking at server-side log files and taking text documents and injecting them into some tools that then took them out and made something visible.
So using log files was a big thing. But I remember that, again, you, me, and Andy were 3 big proponents of index tools, which is an analytics system that was cookie based. And worked really well, and then got bought over by Yahoo. And I noticed that you're still using X.AI, or using so we stepped with X.AI.
Absolutely,
The owner of index tools, Dennis, went on to form X.AI. So it's
Hold on, my kid here. Hold on, he's telling me that the ice cream truck is outside. Okay. You have to go and buy ice cream. You're klarar núna.
Okay, we better go then, Kristjan.
TJ, this has been brilliant. I have signed up to the tool. I'm gonna try it. Let's keep in touch, and all the best to the family, and I hope you guys stay well.
Don't miss your ice cream truck. Go on, highlight of the day. Go. Bye.
Bye.